it gets a little tedious, I think. It gets into some pretty specific detail when it comes to the construction of the tabernacle, the curtains, the furnishings, and all that's involved. But even in the midst of some of that tedious reading, I think there's some great nuggets that we can latch on to, think about, and how they apply to our lives. I'm going to just mention a few of those. One is the construction of the Ark of the Covenant in particular. The Ark of the Covenant is something that we're going to be hearing about throughout the Old Testament, but this is the first time we really hear about its construction. Just basically a box, a wooden box covered in gold, but on top of that are those cherubim facing each other, those winged creatures, as well as rings that are used to slide poles into so that the Ark doesn't need to be touched because it's something that's holy. Later, we'll find out more about what's placed inside of the ark, but two of the three items that are in the ark were already mentioned. One is the Ten Commandments themselves, those tablets, and then two is a jar of manna, that special food that God provided the people with. Later, we'll hear about Aaron's staff that buds. That's a unique account too. We'll hear about that later, but that ends up being placed in the ark as well. But the ark is going to be placed in that holiest place, the Holy of Holies, in the tabernacle that only the high priest could enter, and on the Day of Atonement. Again, we'll hear more about that soon, but be looking for the Ark of the Covenant in the future, in the book of Leviticus and beyond. The other thing I thought was interesting was the way in which God uniquely gifts people to get the job done. He has these specific instructions for the tabernacle, for its furnishings, for the gold work, for the linen work, but then he also equips people to do what he's commanded, to get the job done. Bezalel and Aholiab are two of the main people, but there's others too. And it just sort of reminds me of the saying that God doesn't always call the equipped, but he equips the called. He equips the called. And so the people of Israel were called to a special construction project here in terms of everything connected to the tabernacle and worship. And so God uniquely equips them for that job. And he does the same for his church today. I think that's so important to remember that as a congregation, God equips us for what we're called to do. We have some unique callings here in South City in 2020, but God gives us what we need in terms of people and resources and abilities and time and financing to do what he's called us to do. I'm confident of that. And I pray that the Lord gives us the privilege as pastor and people to be the ones that he works through to accomplish those things, to equip us to do that for which he's called us to do. Whatever your callings in life are, whatever your vocations are, that's what we're going to focus on this week in our sermon series, actually. Be confident that God has equipped you for those callings in life, just as he equipped his people of old when it came to the tabernacle. All right, next week's readings are Leviticus chapters 4 through 19. Again, as you go through those readings and as you look at this discussion, feel free to post in the comments to get discussion going, to share some insights with your fellow scripture readers, almost like a book club format. I think that would be great. Take care. God's blessings.